We're looking at the amazing 2025 Western States 100 today, and specifically ultra running legend Kilian Jornet.
And it's a fascinating one.
It really is, because here's the thing that grabs you. Kilian finished third, okay? But get this, he ran a full 75 minutes faster than when he won back in 2011.
75 minutes faster. It's pretty wild.
So what does it actually tell us about, pushing limits?
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into. Our mission today is really to unpack the precise data-driven strategies that let Kilian run what he called a nearly perfect race.
Despite not winning.
Exactly. Despite that intense competition, we want to pull out some practical, actionable stuff you can use, whether it's for extreme physical challenges or even just demanding projects under pressure.
Okay, let's start with the heat.
Yeah.
Because his 2011 race, it was kind of infamous for the heat and muscle problems he had, right? Debilitating stuff.
Oh, bad memories, as he put it. Major issues.
So how did he flip that script in 2025? Turn that weakness into, well, not a weakness. Was it just like drinking more water and using more ice or something bigger?
Oh, it was way beyond just basic hydration or checking ice in his hat. His team used advanced training, sure, but also really sophisticated cooling strategies. We're talking things like real-time core temp monitoring, pre-race thermal regulation. It's very data-driven.
Data-driven cooling.
So he could understand precisely how his body was reacting to the heat and manage it, proactively. It wasn't just using ice, it was leveraging data about his own body.
Okay.
Turning that old weakness into a controlled variable. That's how he could say he didn't feel that hot at all. It's a huge shift.
Right. It shows how extreme conditions demand, extreme and really smart solutions.
Absolutely.
Data-driven one.
So he had the heat managed, dialed in. But what about the actual running, the pace? Did he just, go for broke from the start? Or was it more calculated? Michigan Bluff, his rivals, Caleb and Chris, were apparently flying 3.30 per kilometer pace. Blistering pace on those flatter sections.
So what did Kilian do? Chase him down?
No, and this is key. It wasn't about raw speed for him there. It was strategic self-awareness. He knew that kind of pace on that terrain wasn't his strength.
Right.
So he consciously, deliberately chose not to follow. He understood that trying to match them there could easily lead to a blow-up later on, hitting the wall completely.
That point of no return.
Exactly. And he actually said, that was wisdom he just wouldn't have had back in 2010 or 2011. He'd have probably gone with them then.
Interesting. So it's a lesson in running your own race, sticking to your plan, even when others are flying.
Precisely. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so pace managed. What about fuel? Just as critical, I imagine. Can you break down his fueling strategy? Was it the same thing for the whole 100 miles?
No, not at all. Highly adaptive, actually. So in the early part, the mountain sections, he was eating quite a large amount, but only every hour and a half or so. And the mix was interesting. 50% fat, 50% carbs. That's not your typical high-carb gel approach, right? It's about sustained energy for that kind of varied terrain.
Right, optimizing for the long haul early on.
Exactly. Then later, especially as things got hotter maybe, or the terrain changed, he shifted. He went to a really consistent intake. 80 grams of carbohydrates per hour.
Every hour, like clockwork.
Pretty much. This careful management, adapting the fuel type and timing to the conditions, heat, altitude, that was absolutely vital to keep his energy steady. Avoid those big dips.
It's amazing the level of detail, and what gets me is, even after running 75 minutes faster than his win, calling it nearly perfect, you're saying he still saw room for improvement. What else could there be?
It really shows that mindset, doesn't it? That constant refinement, even at the very top. He pointed out two sort of small things.
Well,
first, the air. California is super dry compared to where he trains in Norway, which is wet. He said the dry air gave him a dry nose and mouth, so maybe better acclimatization or specific strategies for that.
Okay, environmental adaptation.
Right. And second, he felt he could still improve his long downhill running technique. Work on that more.
Even after a race like that.
The takeaway is that drive for marginal gains. Always looking for that extra edge, analyzing everything, never stop learning.
And through all this intensity, the strategy, the physical toll, he described the race as fun. He talked about battling Jeff for 50 miles, passing each other maybe 20 times. That sounds incredibly stressful.
Right. For most people, that's a nightmare. But he called it fun. It says so much about the mindset.
What does it tell us?
It's about embracing the challenge, almost like a game, a dynamic puzzle, finding enjoyment in that intense back and forth grind. And then late in the race, he gets told the leaders are only 5 minutes ahead.
And what does he do?
He said he was surprised, and it actually motivated him to charge a bit more. And even that final push, he still described it as fun.
Incredible. Seeing competition as engaging, not just suffering.
Exactly, a strategic battle to be enjoyed.
So wrapping this up, what are the big takeaways for you, the listener? Kilian's race, it really offers these deep lessons in, well, strategic self-awareness, right?
Definitely. And the power of evolving your preparation, using data, being smart about it, plus that mental resilience, that ability to actually embrace the really tough stuff.
It makes you think.
And it raises that important question for you. What specific, maybe data-driven small things could you tweak in your own goals? Whether it's, a physical challenge or a big project at work, how do you get from good to nearly perfect?
That's the challenge. And just on a final human note, it's kind of nice to remember what fuels these massive efforts sometimes. Like that Hey Papa bracelet his daughter made him before he left. Simple connections matter.
They absolutely do, even at the cutting edge of human performance.